Hey everybody, let's talk about some seed starting. Here are 10 mistakes to watch out for. We'll start right now. And the first mistake to watch out for is
ordering too many seeds. I know when those seed catalogs start rolling in, we all get excited and we want to order one of everything. Or at least I know I do. So I would suggest coming up with a garden plan. You also want to start at least 10 to 20% more to account for loss of some plants. So start small and grow from there.
mistake number 2 is wanting to start too early. It's not even the first day of winter yet and I want to get started. What we would recommend is finding out what your USDA hardiness zone is, finding out your last frost date for the year, and working backwards from there.
Most seed packets actually have all the information that you need on the back. Like these are Cherokee Purple from Baker Creek. The planting instructions tell you to start indoors 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost. So you just need to find out when your last frost date is and count backwards. There's also a lot of helpful information on the seed packets like germination date, harvest date, so you have all the information you need right on the back of the packet.
And there are a lot of useful tools out there on the internet. You can find your hardiness zone and last frost dates on websites like the USDA. Johnny Selected Seed has a seed start calculator on their website where you just punch in your last frost date of the year and then it helps you work backwards on when to start your seeds. Mistake number 3, using the wrong medium to start your seeds in. Now for seeds, you don't want to use regular old potting mix or garden soil from your Home Depot or Lowe's. I wouldn't recommend bringing in soil from outside from either your garden beds or your yard. You can bring in pathogens or eggs from insects like fungus gnat, and you don't want that in your house. You can either buy a store-bought mix that is specifically for seed starting, or you can make your own, but that's a whole nother video. Most seed starting mixes have either peat moss or cocoa coir as a base, and they also have vermiculite or perlite to help hold moisture, but we prefer vermiculite over perlite because perlite will float when you water it to the top.
So this is a burpee seed starting mix. It is made of cocoa coir, vermiculite, and perlite in there.
And we like the cocoa coir because it holds water for a really long time. But you also have to watch out about that. That's a tip for later.
And this is regular, just peat moss with some vermiculite.
Okay, Meg, what's number 4?
Planting your seeds too deep or not deep enough. Again, I would suggest referring back to your seed packet. There's a lot of useful information on there. This one suggests sowing a 1/4 of an inch deep. A general rule of thumb is twice the depth of the size of the seed. Or you can use a widger dibber to help you along the way. And a widger dibber is just a stick with some seed measurements on it. It helps you stick down into the soil so you can plant your seed.
Like, notice how my ring wears a callus on my hand right here. And a widger dibber is also helpful in popping out your seed plugs. Number 5 is not providing enough warmth for your seeds to get started. You can find this information on what temperature seeds germinate best at on either the seed packet or Google it or the product description from the catalog.
Be like on the back of this seed packet, again, this is from Baker Creek, the ideal temperature is 75 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can get a seed mat, or if you're growing indoors, you can just put it on top of your fridge. That will generate enough warmth for most seeds.
Number 6 is not providing your seedlings enough light. Your young seedlings need light and they will stretch to find it, and that term is called leggy. But grow lights can be expensive, but they don't have to be. You can pick up a light fixture that plugs straight into the wall from Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, any box store really, and they attach pretty easily to like a baker rack that you would get from either one of them stores. You can easily adjust the height of those lights on these baker racks. You need to stay 1 to 3 inches above the seedlings. We usually go for 12 hours on, 12 hours off, but you want to catch them seedlings when they come up out of the ground to hit that light immediately so they know to stop reaching for the sun. So we leave them on pretty much 24/7 after we start the seeds until they break the surface of the soil. Then we go 12 on, 12 off. You can buy a simple timer to plug into the wall for that.
Number 7 is watering. You want to make sure that you don't water too much because that can cause dampening and a lot of disease. But if you don't water, it can cause your seeds just to die. So I would suggest getting a 10-20 tray with no holes, and your seed tray fits right in the bottom of that. It's really simple, just to lift it up, pour your water in there, set it back down, and the water will come up through the holes right here. And you can also use a humidity dome to control the moisture of your tray. Some mediums dry out fast, some don't dry out fast at all.
And if you notice little bugs flying around, they're probably fungus gnats. That probably means you need to cut back on the water and let the soil dry out a little bit. And number 8 is not thinning out your seeds. Because of germination rate, you might want to put more than one seed in each one of those cells that Megan just showed you. That way you make sure that the retail space is used and you get at least one seed per tray. But sometimes too many seeds come up and you have to cut them back. Generally, you only want one seed per cell.
So you can use a pair of scissors or a pair of snips to cut out the weakest seed coming up.
Now, some hardy plants like tomatoes, you might be able to separate when you go to pot them up, which is the next tip, but that's risky. That leads us into number 9, not up potting your plants.
So this is a 98 cell plug tray. If you start all of your seeds in here, they'll have to stay in here for weeks. This is not a big enough space for them to survive until it's ready to be transplanted into the ground. So you want to up pot them. We up pot them into 2.5-inch pots, which I have one right here. You can up pot them into here. They have holes in the bottom for easy bottom watering, and they can sit inside a cell tray, so it's easy for transportation, so you're not knocking them over when you're moving them from inside to outside.
Here's another example of up potting. When we grow things hydroponically in the spring, we start with these little cubes. These are about 1.5 by 1.5 inch Grodan cubes. Once the roots start coming out of the bottom and getting a little squirrely, we have to up pot them into these bigger blocks. And it's pretty simple. You just pop them right in, water them up, and then you have all this room for them roots to grow before you pot into the next thing. And number 10 is
not properly hardening off your seeds.
I make this mistake almost every year. We start onions super early and I get super excited to get them out. And I kill them every year and we have to end up buying plants or sets.
So hardening off is adjusting your seeds to the temperature outside. You'll want to start slow and steady. You don't want to leave them out there for too long the first time you put them out there. I would suggest maybe 2 or 3 minutes, bring them back inside, and just slowly move that amount of time up each day.
And I suggest you start in the shade because direct sunlight will burn a tender young seedling really fast. And then along with exposure to the temp, slowly expose them to the sun.
And I would also suggest setting a timer, because those 2 minutes can go by fast, or if you're at 5 minutes, can go by also fast. So you want to make sure that you don't lose track of time, leave your seeds out to burn, like Josh said.
And as you increase their exposure over time, you'll notice that they're starting to thrive, and then you can leave them out longer and longer. Make sure you're careful during this stage. Keep an eye on them seedlings because you do not want to ruin all of your work while you're in the home stretch before you get to plant them outside. Okay, guys, thanks for sharing this time with us. If we missed any mistakes that you've made, please leave them down in the comments below.
And don't forget to like and subscribe below.